All right, welcome everyone to our Board of Psychology meeting, October 18th, 2024. We'd like to start by playing a brief video.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking, as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras.
Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
If you wish to submit written testimony on any agenda item, please email your testimony to psychology@dcca.hawaii.gov or by hard copy to the board's mail address. We request submission of testimony at least 24 hours prior to the meetings to ensure that it can be distributed to the board members. Internet access. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in this field with an entry in an email format, for example, blank@blankmail.com. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about the agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish. Phone access. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. Since you will not have a panelist number, please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and then 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specific date and time. This information can be found on the board's websites. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Christopher. I will now take roll call. Members, please respond when your name is called with an affirmative response. And if you are remote, please indicate that you are in a private location and that no one is present in your room. Dr. Jun Ching?
Present, I'm in a I'm remoting in for the meeting and I am only one present in my office.
Thank you. Dr. Jeffrey Stern?
Here.
Dr. Keith Pedro?
Here.
All right, quorum is present. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 12:50. All right, for the first item on the agenda, are there any attendees who'd like to provide public testimony on this item? Review and approval of board meeting minutes.
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
All right. Since we have several minutes to get through, we'll take the open meeting minutes first, and then we'll go into executive session to review executive session minutes. So I'll give members a chance to look at the May 3rd open meeting minutes. Are there any edits or changes to the May 3rd open meeting minutes?
This your site work. To be here.
There's an error on page 5 of the May 3rd minutes. And as Dr. Stern stated, we had a hard time believing that the program of the education in the application did not include any research element.
Is this executive session minutes?
Executive session minutes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, we're doing regular minutes.
Yeah.
They're separate. Here they are.
Sorry about that. No, not at all.
I'll just make note of it. Am I allowed to make a note on that thing?
Yeah.
So if I'm not here on the executive session minutes, should I be on the regular minutes?
For May 3rd?
Yeah. Shows that I'm here on the regular minutes, but I'm absent on the executive session minutes.
Well, we're only reviewing the open minutes right now.
Okay.
I would wait till we're in the executive session to discuss the executive session minutes.
Okay. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I was here. It doesn't show I'm not here.
Yeah, we almost done. No
Yes.
changes needed to the May 3rd open meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
All right, any other extensions? All right, so, take a vote now. All in favor of approving May 3rd open meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Moving on to June 7 open meeting minutes.
We don't have the minutes.
Oh, this was the one where we actually
Yes.
have reviewed and approved these, we just.
Yeah, That's correct. Sorry, Chair. I just wanted to bring up the, sorry, let's see.
Motion changes.
Sorry, I'm trying to bring them up. Okay. I thought I had written them on the executive session minutes. The time in and out, including the votes. I would like to be able to just update the motion name, the names of the motions coming in and out of executive session for those that are incorrect for the open session meeting minutes. I thought I had them written down, I apologize. So what can we do in this situation? Could they approve an amendment that would correct the motion names without having the specific names for the motion?
Correct the motions names, what do you mean?
So on page,
Which one?
Seven?
so for the meeting minutes of June 7th, on page. I believe it's on page, page 3. There's executive session going in and out, and certain individuals made those motions, according to the minutes. There was also. And I believe that that was the change I needed was the names that were for the motions on there.
Well, it's, yeah, because it's the wrong names.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it okay to just make a motion to correct those?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sorry about that, sure.
No
I
problem.
motion. You're motioning it.
Oh, I.
Can you motion?
I'll motion to approve the changes made
I
second that.
Okay,
on page 3.
any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motions passed to approve the name changes for the June 7th executive section. I mean, open session minutes. Regarding.
That means we're done with the minutes to this. Thank you.
Yes, okay, so we have one more open session. Open meeting minutes to get through for August 30th. Yes.
Thank you. This is good. I'm gonna get to that.
It's kind of amazing how long we were in exec session. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Oh, I think we were also in planning one for a while.
I motion to accept the minute meetings from August 30th, 2024.
I second it.
Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
August 30th, open. Minutes approved. Right, may I receive a motion to enter into executive session to consult with our board's attorney and review executive session minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving into executive session.
In July. In June.
You want to do the June 7th one first?
Let's wait,
Oh.
let's wait till we're in executive session, sorry.
Oh, no, not there yet. Okay. Join.
by Dr. Reese to be a panelist if you want.
So who's Dr. Reese?
Except for when we go into the ACM
He's a
discussion.
licensed psychologist, and he's on the,
He's on
he's the head of the Substance Abuse, Mental Health and Substance Abuse Council.
He wouldn't just be a.
It's not from Brian.
If we're in the Council for Mental Health and Substance Abuse, thanks.
I think he's if he wants to.
LPB student.
All right, so the board is back from executive session where
Whatever
we
his name.
consulted with our attorney and reviewed the executive session minutes for May and June. And I'd like to accept motions to approve minutes with corrections. Can I get a first motion for the May executive session minutes?
I move to accept the minutes for the executive session for May.
I second it. He's on mute, though.
Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carried. We receive a motion to approve the June 7, 2024 executive session minutes.
I will approve it since I'm unmuted.
I'll second it.
Right, any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, applications. Does anyone have any public testimony to provide on this item?
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay. I get a motion to approve the ratification list of the following individuals for licensure. Baron Aase, Arika Bogunya, Chanel Evans, Magdalene Lim, Stacy Taniguchi, Veronica Dillon, Brianne Martin, Crystal Gale, Natalie Reese, Elise Michiko Yoshida, Daniel A. Rodriguez, Maria Petkus, Wyatt Massey, Jordan Atchison, and Matthew Messier.
I motion to approve the ratification of the applications.
I second that.
Any abstentions? All in favor, approve?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carried. We're done. So moving to our next agenda item. We would just move into executive session on this.
No, nothing. Make sure she doesn't do is just check for testimony.
Okay.
And I can give a little brief.
The next item on the agenda is the RICO ACM appointments. Does anyone have any public testimony to provide on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We don't have anyone wishing to provide oral testimony.
Thank you. All right, Christopher's gonna get some information on this.
So it's confidential.
Yes, so as you know, annually RICO updates its it's a committee used for advising purposes when it comes to their investigations and such. So they've flagged an individual. We maintain confidentiality of the person's name because they are involved in cases that are confidential. As far as reviewing it, could involve, disciplinary actions and stuff. So we'd like to keep this person's names private. If the board wishes to discuss the person, you may go into executive session. I can't remember under what, is it the confidential part? Or you would have, or is it? It's all what me. Right, okay. Otherwise, if there's no issue with the person, you can just move to motion.
I motion to. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have any issue with the person. I motion to accept the recommendation.
I mean, you don't have to accept it. Oh, it's more of like, they're just letting us know.
Confidential for public dissemination, and not for public dissemination, but letting the board know.
Yeah, just letting the board know, is it?
Oh, okay. I mean, in the past, there's been a vote to approve.
Okay. Like that, then I just didn't.
Oh. I have a question. When I'm opening this RICO, I don't have a document. It says this.
Oh,
folder-
sorry, June. I can't really send out that document.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure.
I
Okay,
can send you a picture of it, June.
I can,
No.
I can, yeah, I can maybe notify you real quick right now, June.
okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right thing. Okay,
Wait till June gets it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna notify her right.
you're going to message me, you're going to email?
Yes.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
This individual served on this, in this capacity already.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're just appointing this person to serve on RICO.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Advisory
Yeah, so-
committee.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Can I get an opinion regarding a vote? I mean, is it just more dissemination of information? And why does it come to the board's attention in terms of a meeting? Why couldn't it just be disseminated as just information about what's going on?
There is some part of this that Rico in the past has asked the board to confirm the member. So I think it's that.
Provides this member's curriculum vitae.
There were
Yeah,
other
so-
members that we thought were not.
Right, so they're gonna give you guys, actually in the past, they didn't give that.
And that's
They
what we
just gave
asked
the
for.
list, yeah, so
understand.
so it's just a little bit of information if you guys have concerns. In general, they'll probably still move with the person because they need
Right.
some consult.
So
But the
Is it
point
just,
is,
is it just courtesy then?
yeah, it's a big courtesy, but I think it's also a chance for anybody on this board, if there are major concerns
Mm,
about somebody, that they could report that to Rico.
Okay,
I think there was a time when we had, the first time we had one, and we were asking questions as to how does it get selected?
Mhm.
Do we have a send? And we were told no. But we could, like you were saying, discuss. And I think that's what happened.
Recommendation.
Right. If we had an opinion of, but we were told that it was just up for discussion, but that we could,
Voice concerns.
voice concerns, right? And we wouldn't know if, what the determination would be, if what we said would matter or anything. And then, so I guess this came around again, so it's sort of like, it's courtesy, but it's also, I think it's kosher. Not to be Jewish, but I think it's giving us a way to be a part of that decision.
So would we take a vote that either says we have concerns, or in this case, take a vote that says we have no concerns and
Make a vote
and
to
support and are grateful for the, whatever. We have no concerns is all that we'd say.
You could just vote no objection, that might be good.
Okay,
Can you get a
Okay.
motion?
and I move to say, respond with a no concerns.
No
response,
objection.
no objections.
A second,
Okay. Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carried.
And the board thanks
Thank you for the
the,
clarification.
thanks for the opportunity to,
Sorry, who was the second? Was it June?
Yes.
Okay.
so Jeff and then June.
All right.
All right, our next item on the agenda is administrative rules change. Does anyone have any public testimony to provide on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, thank you. All right, so
Potatoes.
reminding everyone that Christopher put together those documents that are going to help us to be able to work on the statute and administrative rules changes. Last minute or meeting, we talked about focusing in on,
Siding with APA and
yeah,
and SPP stuff.
seeing where, I mean, I was kind of looking at this from the point of the kind of questions that we've been getting from individuals regarding their training, internship and doctoral program and postdoc. And where we've been, where our statutory rules are silent or vague. And need to, update using APA, APEG, professional standards, to help with responding to those kinds of questions. And I think that was sort of one of the impetus for working on the rule changes.
Where are we at with the testing, the two-part testing?
the EPPP 1 and 2, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
thinking about When you say we, you mean like where's ASPPB at with it, or do you
Our
mean?
state,
Our state, I believe you guys have the authority to change the exam. Um. There is a rule though.
this should coincide with,
Yeah, there's a rule, I
Right.
believe, that identifies the
Yes,
specific,
yeah.
like, part one exam. So
okay,
you might have to modify the rules in order to accept a second exam, but right now, the board only accepts the first exam.
And is it no longer optional? I think that's.
Currently, it's still until, I think, 2026.
We're having I would argue that they're tying our hands on this. And the only alternative, which I only know of one state that's exploring, is creating your own second exam or your own exam. I think my read on it is that what was intended was that all the boards agreed the exam needs to be, it's overdue, it needs to be redone. But instead of redoing the exam, they just created a second exam, and that's what the concern has been, is like, that sounds like there's a monetary value it's associated with this decision to do this, as opposed to just following good faith and just updating the exam and just attaching this to one exam. And they added the secondary thing, which I think is also financially motivated, which is you can't take the second exam until you've taken the first, which would require us to also make changes to what we're doing, because so the new 1830 that went through says you have 1 year. Well, it may take longer than a year to pass both 1 and 2, because the passing rates for EPPP2 are lower than they are for EPPP1.
That's a good point, because the laws just changed, I think, last year. So our abandonment language had changed. So it changed from 2 years to 1 year. That's why you only have 1 year for exam now. So you have to at least attempt it, and then your year gets.
What if you can't attempt EPPP2 because you don't pass EPPP1 in the first year?
Well, first, let's like put the ducks in a row. The board would have to approve the second exam as a requirement, and then also I think amend the rules. So until that happens, nothing can change. Once it becomes mandatory, the second exam, I don't know if anything changes in the rules, and that's where we got to look at them right now, because if there's no prohibition to just modifying the exam, because that exam currently is technically accepted by the board,
Right.
then really there's nothing to do. But if it's more nuanced than that, if you, like Dr. Stern brought up, if you have to pass the first exam to get to the second, the board may wish to make that specified so that there is no challenge to that structure. Where the board may not have language to actually address some kind of, like, we'll call it a workaround, somebody trying to make a workaround, so.
I think we really we're changing these rules, right? We have to change these rules, right?
We're
It's
updating-
old.
we're
It's
updating
old. It's
sections.
old.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I would
I think
recommend.
it's better to think about updating sections.
Right, so we update sections. I guess my question would be,
That is a section, EPPP2.
Yeah.
the board needs to decide. Short of saying, shall I get off the pot, we need to commit to the members. Which one are we using? Which exam are we using moving forward? Because if we have to go through these rules and then eventually change it again, it's gonna take a long time. So we should commit to
Do board members want to have a agenda item for next meeting to discuss specifically EPPP2?
Yes, because I think we've been
We
talking
need to
about this
gather
for a
some
We need
long
to start
time.
getting on it.
Yeah.
Once that train is
About whether or
in the
not we
station
do
now.
have a choice. It sounds like that choice is not,
I don't think it's a choice,
yeah, so like we need a timeline then.
We need a timeline.
to-
to commit to it, because I think we owe it to the members, like, what are we gonna be looking at, and then attack this.
Well, I think we can attack this first.
Okay.
And then,
That's what I'm asking, can we attack this without getting to that, or at least start doing some of this?
yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
So, in your packet, I added a document that's the rules. This is a draft that I made. So it's not official.
This one here.
This is only, no, the one, just that, yeah. And that is, it's
Oh,
only
this-
purpose right now, yeah, is for you guys to use to make notes, like as far as amendments and things. Like,
Yes.
it's just a working tool, so it's not official.
Okay, so
Maybe
these
we take it with
high,
us.
these highlighted,
It can only be in here. Because I'm thinking, this is the kind of stuff
You
that
can
we
take-
do on our
You can
own.
take that.
Yeah.
That we
And,
may wanna go through and each person had take a section and work on it. It's almost like revising a handbook as a university professor.
I
You
mean,
know, you gotta,
my
get
understanding was
changes to it.
we weren't gonna go line by line through all of the rules and statute and look for changes. I thought we were just gonna be kind of more using a scalpel versus a machine gun to, I mean, and focus in on these areas that were coming up as more pertinent issues. For example, you know, the training requirements, teacher will be two, and the provisional bill.
Okay. Yeah,
Otherwise, I think that is just a ginormous task to think we're gonna go line by line through every aspect of our, I don't think that's necessary. But
thank
it'd
you.
be
I
realistic.
appreciate that clarification.
I certainly think that that should be the methodology at first. I think as you go through, you might realize that one
Maybe.
part changes another part, changes
Mhm.
another part, but I would focus on just doing it that way instead of, like you said, line by line, yeah.
I was starting to look through that, like, that is a lot.
Which
But like
part?
you said, I'm just
Oh.
looking through all of our
All of the, yeah.
rules. I mean, a lot of it is good. I mean, I think folks, whoever worked hard on this, they did a good job. I don't think we need to change what's not broken.
Like the Word doc of the rules and then they can do it and track changes.
I'm reluctant to do anything digitally just because I don't want a copy of these out there. Like these, like, has to maintain as much, like, kind of confidential for your own purposes as applications.
I was
Because,
thinking like, it's like the rules are public and then you just give them a Word doc of the rules so they're able to.
yeah, so that's why I made I can always do it that way here, and that's fine, but.
It just seems easier than
Okay.
have a Word doc, right, of the rules, so you don't have to like rewrite the rules. And then, verbatim type it back and forth, but.
Yeah, I was gonna, after we got everybody kind of oriented and we're ready to actually be looking at a doc, that those two people can just do a, like, share doc and work together on it.
And then have them just like work off of the current.
Yeah.
Not rewrite the rules from ground zero, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And sorry. What I meant by I created these was that I tried to make them match what is actually our rules. So I didn't add anything. It's exactly the rules. It's just that it's not formatted officially and it's not like, I don't want to say that's official. But this is the language that's in the rules. Okay.
Yeah, you indicated that by statutes and then rules.
Oh,
Look out those specific sections from both, for like, this is for internship requirements,
oh, yeah.
that doc.
Yeah, so I pulled out everything that was pertinent to internship in our statutes and rules, yeah.
So the highlights are your edits already, or?
Yeah, I was wondering about that with this.
That is highlighted language. I think I was starting to highlight things that I thought might need to be updated.
Okay,
That's
Oh, okay.
so shall we take volunteers at this point to have two people work on the internship, the degree, internship, postdoctoral requirements?
I would think so, let's start it. And at what point does it become that we can't talk to each other? Sorry,
Well,
to form,
outside
we're
this.
not gonna,
So,
we're not gonna necessarily form a formal pig. We're gonna
right,
be able to just have two people working on it and they can't speak to any other board
Correct.
members while they're working on it, and then come back to meeting and be able to share their results of their work. Board can discuss, and then it doesn't have to dissolve. And then start all over again, because.
I'm still a little vague on what sections are in consideration, because you start off even in the beginning in yellow with
That's on
SPB meet.
Look at these, the ones Christopher worked on recently and provided in the folder.
Oh,
So
is that here?
Yeah, so the rules, This document is just for you to write stuff down and to like make notes in a section. It's not really meant to review. Unless you want to look at the current language.
The colored
Colored
ones.
ones.
So the color coded, yeah, so all the blue are APA, so for the degree and internship.
Mhm.
The yellow would be for Hawaii. So that would be the degree and internship. And then since APIC doesn't have degree stuff, it just has the internship. And so I tried to organize it in the same fashion, so I used APA's kind of structure of their standards and rules. And there's section titles, and I used that, tried to map that onto APIC, because it wasn't the same. So if you put them side by side, you should see pretty much the same sections next to each other. They're a little bit different, but be close enough.
I have an example of something that comes up a lot, right, is trying to verify, validate, you know, see if it meets criteria for like unaccredited internships, right? When folks complete unaccredited internships, they sort of provided information to us like on a website, and we're trying to decipher whether or not this training program meets criteria for a 1-year supervised experience in health service and psychology, which I think is quite broad, right? We needed more specification there. Actually, in the APA language on, I think it's on the APA degree requirements, it specifically states that if it's unaccredited, it's a responsibility of the doctoral program to basically vet the internship training program and provide information that would, you know, indicate if it's meeting standards. And so I
Perfect, yeah.
think, can we put that kind of level of specificity into the?
So when you're saying, when you're reviewing an application and the applicant did not attend an APA accredited program, which is,
Internship.
can you, okay, that, I guess my first question would be, can you attend an APA internship without going to an APA program?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You could?
Yeah, so a candidate and it's the, you know, you're one of the first in the cohort and they're trying to build a program. It's pretty common to,
But
you know,
if
sometimes attract really good students who get opportunities.
Okay. So there is situations where somebody could have a regionally accredited degree with an APA internship.
Yes,
Okay.
through APEC.
And vice versa.
The reason I was asking is because in the rules, I believe, actually we can look, I believe it's on. Yeah, so on page 6 or 198, if you use the Bates numbering
Of the rules?
of the rules, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, on June, it would be for you, page 6, 98-6, it's at the bottom. Of the page,
Okay, wait, oh,
in the rules.
okay,
So E, right there, almost middle of the page.
Mhm.
So the training program shall require each student to fulfill an internship of at least, et cetera.
Uh-huh.
So the way I read that, and I don't know if this is correct, is that the degree program has to have an established internship or at
Yes,
least a relationship with an internship site.
Yeah, they typically will
couldn't be-
complete contracts, right? Contracts with the training programs that
Right.
would allow their students to go with.
I think they even, like our program, I think we pay a stipend to our clinical supervisors to compensate them for their efforts.
really,
So what I'm looking at, I guess, is would this board eliminate from consideration applicants who went to a doctoral program, otherwise qualifying, regional, that
Mhm.
did not include an internship?
No, we
did
can't.
not?
Have
What do
to.
you did not
That did-
include?
That did not include an internship.
no,
They can't get their
No.
degree, if they don't complete
No.
it.
No way.
There's no way that can be true, correct?
yeah,
Anywhere.
No, nowhere in the
Right.
world.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's why we specified 1,900 hours of internship, pre-doctoral.
Right.
Which APA, you know, they don't specify hours, but they say 1 year full-time, which if
Right.
you do the math is 1,902 hours.
Yeah, they say 1 year full-time or 2 years.
2 years part-time.
Right.
I go back to your question, Joe, because the thing that came up today in one of my applicants for HR. So if I heard you correctly, you're saying that if a institution is not accredited, it's up to the institution to provide clear and concise language that mimics or supports what their training program looks like to meet the criteria of an APEC or a AP accredited type of institution, internship, or the student has to provide something that.
From their doctoral program.
Right. Okay.
You know, in those cases
Yes.
where we felt like we were doing too much work trying to, you know.
Identify, does it look like this
yeah,
that meets the
does this
board's
look like this?
requirements?
You know, when you're supervised experience, it's like, that could be anything.
Correct.
That could look like anything, but there's a far cry from some programs and what APA considers to be,
Now, that's for pre-doc, right?
yeah,
Okay,
internship.
You're gonna focus on the pre-doc.
yeah, because that's what Chris is saying too, is like, and all programs should have a pre-doc internship.
Right, because we've had applicants who don't have an internship.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are those, do they meet the CHIA?
well, I think we need to think about it in terms of your statutes and rules. What do your statutes and your rules say?
It always has 1 year internship.
So
Because they can't get a doctorate degree.
No program would allow it, yeah.
Yeah,
was
that's
there
a-
like at some point that,
I think you're thinking about the international ones.
well, you know, even like California, I think you brought it up at the last meeting, if I recall. That at some point, California didn't require an internship and you could use a postdoc hours to cover internship.
Postdoc for,
Are you talking about the model of?
Model licensing.
Yeah.
From APA.
law, the act there that says that they can, right, like gather postdoc hours pre-doctorally.
No, I meant like, they never did an internship, but they did internship hours after their degree was conferred, and California has accepted those postdoctoral hours towards internship requirement. I'm not sure if that's anywhere but California, maybe some other states, but the point being that if it's based on state law, you guys should see what this board would consider for a successful applicant. And it won't look the same, right? It'll be national certifications, exam waiver, provisional license now. So there's gonna be a certain passing application that's qualified. There's gonna be some that aren't. And you gotta ensure that your rules and laws are gonna exclude that.
well, so far, this has always been in here. This section,
Right.
and it hasn't changed.
So I mean, even in these cases, the board might consider, if you see an application with no internship, just deny.
Oh, definitely.
Because it doesn't meet the requirements.
Right.
And that would be more clear, because instead of searching around for internship hours. Like, based on the application that was presented to the board, there's no internship, therefore it doesn't meet E. In the rules, therefore we will deny or defer
That
until.
starts happening more often than that would be.
Do you know of any other state boards that actually have? I think they're all similar, 1 year internship.
Right, and sometimes the hours vary. I think APA's recommended hours is less than one.
That's the only thing that we differ.
Or APEC is, yeah.
1,300 minimum.
I think that's the only thing that differs
But
from
it
our
is
state.
the
All
defined hour.
other boards have the 1 year.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no.
No, I want us to finish this discussion because I have a separate exam that is in the same area that I'm concerned about. It comes up a lot
I think to,
about the internship.
Okay,
close this discussion,
on the exam or the internship?
internship, all states have the 1 year.
Right.
The only difference is that our state requires more hours than other states. That's what I recall we having discussions on.
And to some
Yeah, that's
degree,
come
there's
along.
not all states also require
Postdoc,
pre-doctoral internship.
no, postdoc.
Requirements.
Postdoc is what other states don't require, ours do.
Meaning you combine hours in
Combine
training
hours.
and it all gets lumped into one chunk of hours as opposed to two separate quantities of hours that allow you to be licensed.
And these are maybe some researching into other states and how they handle this. Is
They use APA's model licensure law. That's the one that it comes from. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
I don't think we've been wanting to make that change.
I like that we require a lot more hours.
What about this separation of pre and post? And making that very clear.
I think we like that
I
too.
like that.
Yeah.
With the provisional license coming up, I mean, we have to stay clear about.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
What if
Would
someone
make things-
like misses the opportunity to do a pre and then they do like a bunch of posts, then that person's
That's
less
what Stephanie
qualified.
Bart's kind of thing was, right? Or something like that, where they're claiming all these hours, but they can't credit them to the time when they're supposed to have gotten them. They shouldn't have gotten a degree if they didn't do the internship hours. So it's simple as that.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, if they didn't do their hours, they wouldn't get a degree.
But the next scenario to consider too is something along those lines, but they didn't acquire enough.
Yeah.
So they only did 15.
That's
because
another
That was what
issue.
required in their university system in that state.
Yeah.
So then those folks, to no fault of their own, cannot
get
meet our
licensed, yeah.
requirements.
We would still have to look at their numbers. We would still be required to check numbers.
Yeah, so the
That's
rules
part of what
might,
we do.
the rules might want to be, I guess.
Yeah, I think.
Flexible in that instance, right?
Would you?
In other words, not exclude someone who only has 1,500 hours in their internship just because it wasn't
Required.
the number of hours needed.
I'm wondering whether to be that flexible, because that would mean that everyone who has met that requirement, we're now changing. And we're lowering the threshold.
Right, but Andrew, we haven't had that because
Mhm.
we've only had situations where it was a transfer or reciprocity of license of those individuals who had less internship hours, but they're seeking
Licensure here.
licensure here. So they've had a license in another state, but their allotted hours of internship was less, so we didn't have to look at that. When it came through, it did show that they had less hours, but they were just looking for
For reciprocity, I mean, I'm not too, I don't remember.
Change idea.
For reciprocity, does the board have to look at whether the standards of that state are equal to the standards here?
we've had 2 or 3 during my term, that when we checked it, the hours were less. But then I don't know how it happened where it was already licensed and the person has been a seasoned psychologist in the other state.
I think that those might have been, national register. They were already national register certified, or that they had their ABEP, and that's the other way that we don't have to look at, their internship or anything like that.
I think that if someone had, right now currently, just anecdotally remembering applications with not enough hours of internship, usually the board will defer them to allow them a chance to seek somewhere where there might be additional hours instead of just throwing a denial on.
True,
Right,
that's
which
true.
is-
So, and then just kind of leaving it there in purgatory. That person could, in the end, they have 1 year to meet the requirement before their application is considered abandoned.
But if it's a pre-doctoral issue, they're not able to do that pre-doctorally because they're
Correct,
already.
correct.
So really, it should be a denial.
Well, let's talk about solutions. I think the solution to the problem is to say 3,800 hours total. And that way, if they have, let's say they have 1,800 hours of postdoc and only 1,500 hours of pre-doc, and they want to get licensed in Hawaii, you can say, that's 3,300 hours. If you get another 600 hours or 500 hours, you would meet our 3,800 hours total requirement, and that would allow you.
100-hour internship with a 3,700 hour.
That would, but there is no state that has a 100-hour internship. The minimum is 1,500, as we discussed. That would never arise.
Never.
The only thing that would arise is the weird one where they had
Uh-huh.
enough hours and now I can't go back in time, and what am I supposed to do? Like the loophole. And so I'm saying to close the loophole by just having a total number of hours,
38.
one sentence that specifies,
3,800?
yeah, 3,800 for 15 and 19, so that we keep our
And then
commitment to the.
actually
The minimum
get it
of-
at that time.
You can always get it late after the fact and get it supervised and signed off on, and so forth.
Yeah.
I liked what Andrew just said.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying like maybe you could just say 3,800 hours with a minimum of 1,500-hour internship. I mean,
Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
have.
that's
I
good
think-
language. Yeah.
I think we do have to
Alex?
specify a minimum for internship, because internship requires a certain level of supervision as
Yeah.
well as, you know, didactic training, you know, so it's a more structured training program than postdocs. Postdocs, they're not accredited usually, right? I mean, the programs will go for postdoc accreditation, so you could just have one-to-one supervision for who knows how many hours per week, you know. But so it's not a sequential structured type of internship training.
Yeah,
What about if it's. Sorry, I'm just trying to think, because if they use hours from, say, postdoc or traditionally postdoc to cover the 8 or the 300 hours missing from, say, internship, that would make they potentially could make their postdoc less hours, right? Because they're taking some of it away. Would you then require them to do additional postdoc if they go
Yes.
with the internship?
yeah.
So that they have 3,800 hours total, minimum of 1,500 hours on the internship.
Doctorally.
Okay. So there wouldn't be a case where they use 300 from their postdoc, and so they're at 1,600,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and then there'll be 1,900 on the internship, but now just.
as long as they hit the 3,800
38.
total.
Right. Okay.
So like the Department of Health allows you 2 years to get license. Of the 2 years, the first year you could use as a postdoc towards your hours.
Okay.
But you still have that short 1 year to get license.
Is it?
Yeah. Or you're
So how
out.
would that look? So if the provisional license is based on the postdoctoral language, right?
Yeah.
Should it be, instead of saying 3,800 hours of which 1,500 must be internship, to reverse that and say 3,800 hours of which no more than, sorry, I don't know the difference, no more of a certain amount of postdoc can be used for, or no, hours can be used.
2,300 hours. I mean.
Yeah, right. That way, you still have, you're using the postdoc language and not internship language for the provisional. Because it's gonna be talking about postdoc while you're got that license, right? Not the internship.
Correct.
So you're just trying to keep everything
Meaning a
on the
postdoc.
same subject instead of going postdoc, internship, postdoc. Does that make sense in the rules and laws, in the language? Because we're gonna, the way it looks like, we may have to amend, if there's a change to the title or the designation of what you consider postdoc hours, we're gonna probably have to define that in the rules, or we may have to modify or amend the statutes if that is necessary.
Be a change in the title. It's just that folks can apply for a provisional license in order to take the exam prior to completing postdoc hours, which is what we recommend now, require now, right? But it's still a postdoc experience. They just have this additional license that allows them to sit for the exam, and I know you didn't like this, but then can also bill
Oh, no,
insurance.
I don't, that's the wine.
Bill insurance while they're on postdoc, which has been an issue for trainees.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is the more technical side of things when it comes to the writing. Because when you look at it, like say from the internships perspective, yeah, you're gonna say 1,500 hours of internship, no less. And that's very clear. But then you've said nothing about postdoc. You know,
You can say the same thing, no less than,
Year
no
of-
less than 1,900 hours of postdoc.
okay. You might consider defining one or the other. So, or maybe both too. So like pre-doctoral internship hours means hours accrued within the doctoral program up until the date of graduation or something like that. Versus.
These are all more complicated solutions than I think we need. I think the easiest solution is to say something like In situations where the internship hours and of an individual who is already licensed in another state is short of 1,900 hours. And then you have some sort of provision for that group, because that's really the group that we're trying to deal with.
I have to agree, and I think we're gonna get cases. My thought is that have it be more general. If it's too specific, we're gonna run into a lot of problems.
Mhm.
And here's a case scenario. We know of people that could be at one internship site to get some hours here for the postdoc, but maybe needs additional hours to meet a different qualification. So in the evening, they might be working another area and get certified to do something else just to get qualified or gain more hours, and it's all legit. So it doesn't have to be for the postdoc, it may not be at one site
Or with one supervisor.
or one supervisor, because we've seen in the packets that there's several supervisors, and we're gonna get as long as we get the notarized letter from each of those persons, it might look complicated.
Yeah.
So nowadays, people are gonna just I think we have to be clear about whether it's face to face or whether it's telehealth. That's a new thing now. It's like,
True.
Yeah. And that complicates it more, right? There isn't question about how much of it has to be face-to-face supervision, and how much can be remote supervision.
That's
yeah,
included.
And we've talked about, also APIC, I saw will specify 25%, of the internship experience has to be face-to-face.
Face-to-face,
direct
correct.
local, And I
That's
think
right.
that would
Yeah.
be helpful.
that,
Because we've
I
had
think
that
that has,
question
yeah,
come
because
up too.
that one is more important, I think, to get it face to face.
Folks who do a lot of research or.
Right.
The one that's really not addressed in the APA or APIC is when we have individuals who have done primarily, like really focused in on. one
Forensic
area.
or assessment only.
Yeah,
That was the thing I was gonna bring up next.
yeah.
That's a real
It's
issue.
Intervention.
And that's happened 2 or 3 times already. And
Yeah.
all we can do is say, hey, if you decide to start doing therapy, please seek professional supervision and get the training you need, because your application indicates that you were very focused on only assessment, or the degree program may be, you're getting a PsyD or a degree, but it's a forensics, a specialty graduate program. So that they
Yeah.
only doing forensic evaluations and they're not even really doing therapy.
And
their
that's
experiences
hard,
aren't
yeah.
therapy.
It's hard because I have a psychologist that I supervise right now. His degree is industrial organizational psychology.
Hmm.
He's had additional training, but the degree that we give here is just clinical psychology.
Right.
Counseling or school psychology.
Right.
And we've actually, do we have a separate IO licensing board, or is that under us
Oh,
too?
all of it is under one.
But it's under the exemptions section.
Okay.
So they're just exempted from they get to use the term IO psychologist because they've met certain requirements, education requirements.
And the only reason why he's under forensic is because he's shown evidence of being in the prison system for so long that it counts towards specialty areas.
So that's I would say that when you're keeping in mind what you would like to modify or amend, you have to consider some certain things, like one, how simplistic is the language? How simple is it? How easy, straightforward is it? Or is it getting, technical, complicated? Obviously, I'm asking the more technical, complicated to distill the easier to answer or easier to read stuff.
Well, that's where we can consult with our,
Attorney.
Yeah.
the right language.
The other part of it
So-
is how administratable it is.
So I'm thinking, it would be best to have two, put pen to paper,
Yeah.
and then bring it back to the board, discuss,
Uh-huh.
go back, pen to paper.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, because, if you talk about it, people might forget.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
To have
I
an
agree.
ongoing working document
I do have a concern about it though, in that I don't want to put pen to paper without some foundational understanding of some of the issues that we have to contend with. For example, the issue in the administrative rules, it clearly says that the internship requires psychodiagnosis and individual assessment, intellectual, personality, and behavioral assessment, and therapy, child or adult intervention, or both. Meaning it has to have a therapy element in order to meet the requirements of an internship according to our administrative rules. Does that mean we were not supposed to give licenses to the people we gave licenses to who didn't have that clinical experience in their internship, but instead focused on forensics or focused heavily on neuropsych assessment?
So I mean, yeah, I think it'd be helpful, I mean, as you're saying, maybe it might be helpful for you guys to tackle section by section, maybe as a group, and then have a, I guess, a board position, I'm gonna say position, but like a general thought on how it should go to provide some guidance to whoever is gonna be putting pen to paper. Would that be helpful, you think, or just some like, or I'm just thinking, just in my mind, I'm just like organizational thought versus like just an open discussion that's kind of like hard to keep track
I'm
of.
with you on that.
Unfortunately, it's just.
I think we have
I'm
to.
kind of gonna like ask questions a lot as I go though. Very like, what's the legal thing? What are the implications legally if we say that you have to have both of these things? We're telling folks who did all the things that we said they had to do other than treatment, that they can't get licensed, or that they have a restricted license that allows them only to do assessment and they have to reapply to the board if they want to get licensed to do therapy because it's no evidence of therapy in their background training.
So do two people try to go through this document, highlight areas, bring it back to the board, and then have the board continue to weigh in?
You can do that
We
way.
do, yeah, however you wanna do it, yeah, that's.
So I guess the focus then of the review is on these documents with notes put into this document.
Yeah, I think I mean, those were actually pretty helpful once I broke them out of the like
Yeah,
double column form of put them into this. It's a lot easier to follow. And it's weird.
Christopher, I have a request since I'm not there and I don't have them. Can you send me
Okay.
those colored things? Because I think it will make a lot easier for me to work from.
Instead of the white ones, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that you're distributing today.
Yeah, you have those
We
in
have
your board
them.
packet. They're just not color coded.
Okay,
They're in your.
yeah,
they're in
no,
the-
there, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay, I can get you the color coded for sure.
yeah.
you can use
Yeah.
color coded paper clips.
How would you get it to her?
He was PDF it.
The colored ones?
Yeah.
So who wants to volunteer to be
Just tell her,
the
hey, pick a treasure best paint.
diving in and highlighting the sections?
What is the
I
other
wonder
one?
if we can divide it up into, I mean, we have to do the pre-doctoral internship part and then the pre-doctoral program part. So do you want to just split it into those two parts and then, two people do one and two
Yeah.
people do the other one?
Yeah, I had that same thought, that, I think we can do that. Yeah, okay. So,
So
yeah,
I'll take one or the other. I don't know.
okay. Same.
Yeah, and then somebody else can combine with me. Whoever wants to work hard.
Turn it now, so you don't have to do it.
I'll do internship with you.
Okay, let's do the internship one.
Okay.
That's, I was thinking since you're at a doctoral program, maybe you're,
That's fine.
that's for the doctoral.
I was gonna do internship, but that's fine.
Oh, you want to do internship?
That's fine. No, I'll do, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Or you can do internship with June, I'll work with Jeff then.
Okay, wait, so you're going degree, your internship now? Okay.
I'm internship.
You want an internship? I
I'm gonna be
will,
focused on the AP degree requirements, this one.
Okay.
I'll work with Jeff on the degree.
Okay. I think that the internship and the degree requirements are probably gonna dovetail pretty quick.
Yeah.
Jude, I'm gonna send you a picture of the colors and what they are.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's good to read over some of these and see what it matches, that, was
Yeah.
everyone aware that the
Yes,
internship
Chris has
program
two-
must have a minimum of 2 doctoral level psychologists on site,
Yeah,
That's- Mhm.
one of the things that I continuously recall is one of the former members, Dr. Spira, bringing up that how APA updates their internship requirements and stuff and how they look at APIC and to some degree. So at least that's helpful that they're not so far apart that.
Yeah,
So it makes it so much easier when they are accredited by APA, we don't have to worry about that, right? But can we just, instead of getting really specific, can we just say we would reference APA standards, APIC standards as another way to keep it broad without, if we get two, like if we're saying two supervisors, two interns and making it in the laws and rules, I mean, I think that's.
yeah, yeah.
Yourself
No,
down,
no,
Pete,
no, we
yeah.
can just make
I agree
reference
with
to,
both of you on that.
Okay,
make reference to, but you know that they're revising the model licensure.
I think if you're gonna, so there's different ways to use the statutes and rules, right? You can do it to form documents that the person has to submit to prove that they've met the requirements. Or it can provide the board authorities to say, sort of, not question, but to interview someone about their credentials. If you're gonna go more broad, then it might mean that the board needs to be more active about talking to them at the meetings, applicants at the meetings, to deal with the sort of nuances that won't be addressed by general language. So while it may allow less restriction and more applicants in, you need to make sure that you still maintain the level of scrutiny that you need in order to vet the people out that shouldn't be licensed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You wanna make
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah,
Drew?
I mean, I would appreciate, yeah, go ahead.
Mark said he's gonna send you the colored copies, because I tried taking a picture of it and it doesn't go through. He's gonna email you the colored copies. It's easier.
Who's gonna send it?
Mark.
Mark. Oh, okay, thank you, Mark. Okay,
do we wanna work in like a Google Share kind of documents? Can we do that with
Yes.
these documents?
Oh, yeah. I can create some,
Send back and forth and.
That means you have to
version
share
and-
your Word, your Word document then.
Wouldn't do it in, do the two separate documents. Not-
yes, yeah, right. It would
Not
not.
one document, or not one document for all four of you, because that's kind of like a
Oh, no.
community, yeah, so two separate.
So I will send separate links to the separate groups
okay.
with different passwords, different
Yeah.
documents.
Okay,
You guys won't.
Mr. Tech savvy over here.
You know what's hard when I'm thinking about this, like even the internship hours? I don't know historically how Hawaii came up with 1900 hours. I would like to know rationale and when that came out. Or, you know, if I don't know, AP doesn't specify how many hours, it just
I
says.
don't know why they don't, but if you say 40 hours a week times 4
Yeah.
times 12, it's 1900
Okay.
hours.
Yeah, and then I would like to know out of all the
Sometimes a cigar is
the
just a cigar,
jurisdictions.
Joe.
Huh?
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah, and in
40
all the
hours a day times
jurisdictions,
is
okay,
900.
you know, what's the average number of internship hours that are in most of the jurisdictions?
Right, that's the
No.
thing I need to go and do research and bring back. I would
Yeah.
say generally speaking that people have gravitated more towards the 1500 and there's not so many of the 1900. I think there's even a state that requires more than 1900.
Okay.
But I'll have to get the specifics by just doing a spreadsheet.
And it's,
Yeah.
it's true, it's like you did the math, people did the math.
Did the math.
And figured 2.5 weeks you need off to do whatever, so that however much then you spend that whole year, basically it's a year minus time that you wouldn't be available.
Right, but don't take my our calculations correctly, but I believe the 1500 did not is 1500 only because the 1900 was accumulative. The 1500 separates you know, like the what did we call it
Face to
before?
face or?
It was clinical writing.
Yeah,
was-
yeah, it divided it up into the different responsibilities. and
Yeah, it was all
ratings.
separated like that. That's why the 1500 was face-to-face plus supervision and all of that. And then the other part it's 40 hours per week. And it was separated by supervision. It was separated by progress writing, all of these things. But the 1900 was everything, because it was getting complicated when we did it. The time thing online.
For example, most internship programs have you doing a little bit of research for them, doing some auditing
Yeah.
and internal examinations, which isn't direct client contact hours, but that would go into that 400 hours of additional time that you spend.
I see.
So you get credited for that, and that's all part of your internship requirements.
So would you find the 1,500 pretty much only in language that has to do with health service psychology? Because it's that line staff type of work in, contact?
Now they use cell track to track all their hours. Is this cell track or time track?
Time to track.
Time
Our
track.
program uses that.
Yeah, see, that's why June is right. She's supposed to be 1,500, but then the cell track now does all the breakdown of where it's accumulating.
Okay.
But technically it's 1,900.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to change that? Do we want to not have 1,900? Is there any real reason why we should? If the goal is to make it easier, less restrictive, why not go with what other states use? It's at 1,500 and put our threshold consistent with APA requirements in APIC.
It is the goal to make it less restrictive.
Is that the goal?
I don't know. I mean, I just think if you do that, you eliminate the problems that we've been encountering.
I think the people that know that they want to practice in Hawaii, they look ahead of time and they do their homework and they know, and so they, they try to accumulate those hours, right? And
So
I think it's the people that are
Should we
asking,
reach out to the
to change.
internship program?
You're right, Joan.
Or should that not be?
I think.
Because they're gonna be establishing their schedule on a 1,900, right? Because they're in Hawaii.
Yeah, here are 1,900.
Yeah, all the internships here in Hawaii,
What
right?
would they say? To a
1900.
reduction of hours.
They would.
Would they say that actually they find that the 19 is required to properly?
I think they would, because it also means that they get more time with the interns working for them.
Well, it's still a 1 year requirement though, too.
True. There's only 1,500 hours. What's to say that an intern wouldn't be like, oh, I'm done?
Yeah, they could do like a
What's my hour
2,500 hours, but they're only gonna need 15 for the.
But they have to have complete a year. It's gonna be a year and 1,500
Or
hours.
2 years and part-time.
Yeah, right.
Is there gonna be a limit? Like. No more than 3 years. I think APEC has a limit.
More than 2.
2 years.
Mhm.
I know physical therapists, I think, are like that, right? Are you? No, you're Cairo, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we should make it lighter, because
You don't?
no. We're trying to like establish our profession.
So maybe with the 1,500 for internship acceptable, maybe we can have a provision that if your university only required 1,500 hours of your program or state, if you provide evidence, then we will accept and you can use the postdoc to match that or whatever.
Well, how many of those have we
But then
actually?
it's not just everyone, it's only those individuals who didn't, because of no fault of their own, have those hours.
Basically, we're trying to create a solution to a problem.
For those specific people though.
Very
not-
specific.
How many have come through that we've had to talk about those kind of cases? Not many.
Well, I don't know, because somebody may look at our
Well,
website,
month
and see
from
that it's 1,900 and go, oh, and then just move on. So then I never know how many people actually just are dissuaded from application.
Well, how hard is it to gather that data from the?
I don't know how I could, oh, I can go start creating a spreadsheet next week about what they require.
Okay,
So
that'd be helpful, at least see if we're like
I'll probably.
an
do
N of
this.
1, then maybe we'll consider.
Well, I'm also thinking about this idea of cultural competence, and that's a big thing for us here. And one of the reasons why we're not a SIPAC state is our
Right.
concern about lack of cultural competence among people who want to practice here. Is there a way to change the administrative rules related to not the program, but the one way is to create a CE requirement that specifies that some CE has to be in that area. Another one is to change the administrative rules that say licensure requires that you have a course or more than one course or something about specifically our populations.
Consider this information,
So specific.
Yeah,
consider this information I'm about to say, as anecdotal. It may not still be true, but 2 years ago, there was a bill
I remember
for,
that.
cultural competence in CE, and it died real
it
quick.
died really quick.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's foundational cultural and individual diversity factors.
Okay.
It is an APA
And the APA
Yeah.
requirements, right?
I know what you're saying, though, I mean, coming to us.
Yeah.
Different place, place with different culture.
yeah.
You guys did see that, right?
I don't think we
Yeah,
can
That I
require that.
separated
That
the
sounds-
degree or the application for the program to be approved versus what the contents is. I separated those out in those 2 blue sheets.
Mhm.
So there's the requirements to be.
Yeah, that's just a bad idea. I don't know, if reducing the hours after we've been sold and saying that in
Yeah.
order to
Years.
bring people with cultural competency, provide services, doesn't also sound,
Could the standing internship programs in Hawaii handle an influx? Like, let's say of other students who are gonna try and get in the training tract of Hawaii for licensure, but got their degree on the mainland.
yeah, we could. The problem we see right now is that the pay is not good. It's not about the licensing. We haven't, the market here,
Cost of living is high.
the cost of living is high. It's not us, the board, or the licensing. Cost of living is quite high. The Department of Health is looking at restructuring and looking at pay scales. I mean, even the attorney salaries haven't gone up too. So all of the state salaries are not improving. So it's not a matter of that. I think we have to maintain a standard for the psychologists.
Mhm.
Right.
If we're saying we're gonna go from 1900 to 1500, and all these years people have adhered to that,
Right, yeah,
it's showing that,
I agree.
well, now we're like, okay, we'll take whatever we can. And adding 4 more hundred hours, it hasn't been a problem for many of the psychologists. And they're wanting more money, and we're trying to get to that level. I mean, the latest, what is that, Civil Beat is showing that people are leaving, what do you call it, the
State
prison
hospital?
system,
Oh,
prison
yeah,
system,
right,
and
I
they're
saw
coming
that
to
article.
us. And so we're trying to work on our pay scales right now. I mean, the average for a state psychologist is like 110. And we're trying to compete with federal government at 125 or 130. And it's still not up there.
I think if you take that tact, our extra 400 hours will dissuade people who say, I want to be able to take on Hawaii patients because I live in California or I live in Alaska and the cost of living is reasonable where I live. And I just practice telehealth as a licensed psychologist in Hawaii with Hawaii. I'll get licensed in Hawaii. I'll be able to bill at a higher rate because their HMSA reimbursement rates are good. And it can enjoy my low cost of living.
It's an interesting way of looking at
I
it.
just perceive that could happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can see
although
people wanting to be
California
licensed in
doesn't
states
have
where
that
that might
low
be
cost.
financially feasible for them.
Was that
Yeah.
June?
Sorry.
No, I was just a snide comment about California doesn't necessarily have a lower cost of living.
No, they don't.
No.
I understand, but there are places that do, and those
Yeah.
psychologists.
Yeah,
should
no,
be-
no, I
Or
understand.
I
what
mean,
you're
like myself, I'd be like, I'm a Hawaii licensed psychologist, but I can't afford. So I'll move to the mainland and I'll still practice. I'll just live in some place, have my nice house and practice telehealth 24/7, do that only. And
And
that
some-
becomes my practice.
Come to Hawaii, as part of your business practice plan every year, because you're licensed here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really reluctant to dial back the 1900 until we get more information, because I want to know how we came up with 1900 to begin with.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna be going back to 1980.
okay, well, I would want something compelling before I'm just going to willy-nilly change it to something arbitrary.
For now.
Let us know, June, when you find the
That's
information
know
out.
when you find out.
Let us know, June.
But yeah, so
think we're agreed on that.
Christopher will help to, I think you're right. Yeah, it sounds like we all agree that we're not
Keep the.
highly, enthusiastic
Not looking for that
about
solution.
bringing down the hours. But we will continue to look at some data
Mhm.
and if you can find the rationale the board had for why they chose 1900.
I mean, what will happen to all the other people that we've already said no to in the
No
past?
two, and then they're gonna reapply?
Yeah, what happens to all of those people?
Nothing.
I don't know.
You
We're not gonna worry about that.
apply at the statute, or at the statutory requirements that are required at that time. So if they have now changed, then that may change for you.
I still don't, yeah, well, we should move on.
So, are you saying? Go ahead.
Can we, actually, I want to note something about like sunshine and stuff. You could go to executive session. You should solve.
Do you have an exec session open for this one? Or prepared, a breakout room? Okay.
Wait, what is that? We're switching?
We're gonna move in, we'll need
Motion
so
to.
Dag is asking to discuss some things, provide some consultation, so asked
Sure.
if the board will go into executive session, so we'll need a motion.
I just did.
Okay.
That's on
Okay,
that.
move, okay,
Who's motioning?
I did.
Yeah. Any,
I'll second.
okay, any abstentions? All in favor, moving to
Aye.
executive session? June?
Oh, sorry, I was looking at getting back into my computer, okay.
All right, motion carried.
Hi, June. This is Mark. We're currently in executive session. You should have gotten a notification to enter executive session.
Okay, so I have to press join.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Right, we're back and open.
Okay, I'm back now.
Great. So due to issues with the agenda, the board was in executive session to discuss that issue. And what we are doing at this point is Dr. Stern and I will be working on the rules changes. And then at our next meeting, we will select the next board member volunteers to continue that work. All right, and also it's to add to the agenda for, I mean, do we need to have a different agenda item for the EPPP2 discussion, or do we add that to the rules?
I can add that into the rules conversation.
Yes. Well as the associate membership,
Thank you, provisional license. That one.
provisional license
Okay.
also needs to be added.
Yes,
But I agree with that. That's four, right? It's a lot.
yeah.
If we try to go line by line, we might actually lose track of the big four things that we need to focus on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw out a possible suggestion too. It's just a suggestion, because we're talking about treat EPPP3. And I think in the past, we had representatives, that would go to the ASPPB meeting. So I want to just put that out there, that we're not at the table.
Yeah, you mentioned that last June. I think the last time Sherry went,
Yeah.
the first round, I was in support of going, to be part of that. And then we had the COVID,
Okay.
so I don't know what
how
happened.
often does it happen? Once a year or every
They-
other year?
No,
Yeah, they have their
difference-
annual meetings.
I know.
Currently though, the ASPPB is dealing with hearings with the exam. I think Texas has initiated all
Oh,
of that
right.
as an,
Mm.
Okay,
they're
that's
trying to.
Yeah, it was the legal response that they generated, which was, no, we're not doing those things.
Right.
And then- So I didn't know that was in a formal, required, ended up going to a formal hearing.
Yeah, because they're a member, they're challenging.
Mm,
So they're requesting an amendment that would make it not mandatory but optional. So basically reversing it back.
yeah.
And I think that that's
I think we should-
coming up.
Okay, that's
they
probably
haven't solved.
yeah.
So I have been tracking it for the board.
Thank you.
My considerations are that it's pretty heated.
Mhm.
And so my idea is to assess it from the outside since we've been there already. I don't think that doesn't mean you guys can't contribute. I think that any one member can attend their annual meetings. That's ASPPB. That's a perfect time to be talking with other jurisdictions about these types of matters. But
Are other states joining Texas? Are they looking for?
I believe
that?
they're, I couldn't give you the specific names of states right now, but I do know that they're the ones sending out
Yeah,
notices. to
no,
people.
yeah. Texas is a big one. That,
Mhm.
My gut tells me.
challenging it.
Off, right? I'm sorry, June, finish what you were
No,
saying.
Yeah, that Texas is the big state that's challenging it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I read the materials and I can't help but think, if there are 22 states that already bought in, that means the other 28 states probably said, let's wait and see what happens. We don't want to make this change right away unless we have to. And so they would also most likely be the ones among the pool that are against versus the 22 that are in would be like, we're already doing it. Why would we be against what we're already doing?
yeah, right. Makes sense.
Right.
So you'll keep us informed about when
Yeah.
they will
Okay.
meet again. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So our next agenda item is our next meeting,
Yes, it should be, well,
Friday, December 6th with Jeff. Dr. Stern said that.
I'll be here. I leave,
you'll be
my
here.
flight's at 10:30 that night.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Everybody
when
else
is the next
able?
one? That's the
I
6th,
won't be
right?
here though. I'll probably be like
Friday, December 6th.
somewhere like doing it remotely.
Okay,
It'll be a remote option, right, on that meeting?
we can, obviously it depends on applicants and things like that, but maybe we can try and keep it short. And then that.
Okay, I'll already be packed. I'll be good.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that.
So like I said, we just did like a draft agenda for next year. So I don't think it's been approved yet. We still have to vet and make sure the rooms are available and things like that. But I was looking at the third as a meeting to focus mostly on the applications, like the more tedious stuff we gotta do. And then keep the meeting at the end of the year for just the legislative session.
End of January.
Of January, yeah, that would mean there's no February meeting on the
February is
books.
when I rotate off, I thought.
I have to double check that. I have to double check it.
I thought you had I thought that the last legislative session, it was February, you were up for renewal, and that's why you take people for testimony. And
I was, but I.
Does that mean you get
realized
another 4 years?
No, because by statute, you're only allowed to serve for 8 total. So even if you get approved for 4 and you'll have 1 year left, you could only.
You're the 1 year. And it's because you filled in for someone who left and you finished their
Yeah.
term. That's,
That's what would happen for mine. Somebody could come in and fill my, if I have 4 years, they could come in and do 3 or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
right. I'm doing for Jim. I'm doing, I did a year for Jim.
Then you had to formally.
Right.
Okay, and so anyways, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about the meeting
Thank you.
scheduled tentatively.
So we don't have a meeting in February, then January with my last meeting.
We'll have 2 meetings.
If February is the last one.
If it is this one, okay.
No.
Okay, because it might not be, right? Yeah.
Right, it might not be.
I could be wrong.
Make you 8 years and is that what it is? That you'd rotate off?
Have you ever, you really did 8 years? So you're saying you substituted for some of it?
No, I think last time we reviewed dates and stuff, it was, my 8 years was up in February.
Before me,
Oh, okay.
and I've been here for 6 years.
We can double check.
Okay. Can we double check on everybody else's and when? they
Yes, I
have
can.
to-
Yeah, I can do that. No worries.
I just really.
I'm the,
You guys are good. Jeff's good to like.
I'm good. I'm good.
I move,
No.
I.
Nice try.
All right,
Okay.
thanks everyone. We're gonna adjourn the meeting
Thank you.
now.
I move to